Welcome to the next episode of Hammered with Cars, presented to you by Troll Patrol Racing
and Johnson Recreational Toys.
I'm TJ.
And I'm Tyler.
Alright, first things first, we have breaking news.
Tires.
There are 2 new tires on the market.
Who would have thought we would be talking about tires?
Now, the 2 new tires are from Bridgestone and Nexen. The Bridgestone is the RE71-RS, which people have kind of been waiting for because it was released in Japan last year.
Right.
So people have kind of been waiting for that. And then the Nexen is the Enfera Sport R or something like that.
5G.
Yeah, yep, some 5G.
That's what it is.
All right, we'll see. As you can see, and I'll pull it up here so our viewers can see. Look at these 2 tread patterns.
Yep.
Don't look up anything yet. Can you tell me which of those is the Nexen and which of those is the new Bridgestone?
The bottom one is the Bridgestone, because we talked about that briefly before, I think, how it looks like a trailer tire.
Okay. And the
other
top
one's
one is Nexen.
Yeah.
That is actually incorrect. The top one is the Nanking
really?
CR1, and the bottom is the Bellino.
Oh, that's right. That's right. The Bellino was the trailer tire one. I've been duped. Oh, yeah,
So
that's...
it's just the Enfera Sport R.
That's what it says on there.
That's what it says on Tire Rack.
The thing I read, it had letters and numbers after it.
Well, I'm going to go with what Tire Rack says, because...
Apparently they know everything.
Well, not that they know everything, but... Oh, look at that.
Look at what?
Sport R.
Yeah, that's the line.
That is not the line. It literally says extreme high performance tire.
Where did I read that?
I don't know where you read that. Not anywhere good. So anyways, there's the Enfera Sport, or Nexen Enfera Sport R that was just announced, or not just announced, but at least just popped up on Tire Rack, I think this morning or last night or something like that, because I just started seeing people talking about it today. And then about a week ago, maybe not even quite a week ago, was the Bridgestone Potenza RE-71 RS. Sorry, I said that wrong the first time. And as we can see, and I'll show all 4 tires here, that the tread pattern is following a certain trend. Everyone seems to be adopting the AO52 style kind of tread pattern, or even, you could probably even equate it back to the BF Goodrich kind of tread pattern.
The thing that I was talking about, the person who had posted them on Facebook, called it the Enfera Sport R Sur 5.
Oh, okay.
So whether that's a true thing...
Because it was a Sur 4 before that, yeah.
So that's where that thought came from.
What you drinking tonight? Since this is Hammered with Cars.
A TJ special.
Gin and
tonic.
Cheers. It's always good as we're getting closer to summer and we're getting into race season.
Gotta bust out them mixed drinks.
Gin and tonics, Moscow mules, all that good stuff. That's
nothing like some bubbly pine needles.
Yes, that's the name of the game. The interesting thing about these Bridgestones, which I actually haven't looked at the Nexens yet, but which, no surprise, pricing has gone up from last year on tires in general. We'll do a pretty close comparison. I had the 225s for the RE71R, and that was back in 2017.
So it's been a minute.
It's been a hot minute. It's going to be a longer minute with this. And they are $180, so $723 for a set of 4, and I think I paid about $100 less than that back in 2017. So still pretty good. That's a 225/16.
Let's do a comparison to last year's closeout prices on the RE71R.
Yeah. Wow.
Look up a 275.
Okay.
I think it's a 275.
Did you get a 275?
Yes, I did.
275/35 is going to be the
Yep.
18. 275/35/18. Almost $1,400.
Almost $1,400.
And you got yours
for some reason, somebody had this brainchild idea that they actually needed to put the RE71Rs on closeout pricing to be able to get rid of them for some reason.
Yep.
And I paid like $580.
That's
A steal.
That's a steal. Especially
That's-
considering I don't think you could.
I don't think
you
you
wouldn't
could-
have been able to get like Federals cheaper than that.
No. It was really close. It was within
it?
dollars.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay, I would have
Yeah.
thought the Federals were a little bit higher than that.
No.
Yeah, and
The reason I ended up with those is because I was going to order Federals, but the place that I ordered them from said after I placed the order that they were out of stock.
Oh.
So I was like, oh, I need to find a different solution. And then I seen somebody post on Facebook that if you want RE71Rs, you should call Tire Rack and ask, because they may have a shipment coming, but it won't be posted on their website until they're in stock.
Gotcha.
And the guy's like, yeah, we've got some coming in a couple days here. And I was like, can I have a set? And he said, sure.
So the only size that they have posted for the Nexen and Ferris Sport R is the 245 4018, which I guess I'd have to look at the SCCA rules. I can't quite remember what it was. I thought it was like halfway through April you had to have the tire announced.
Is
which
it halfway through April, or is it
I'm not
at the end of April?
Like I said, I'm not 100% sure. But this is also on Tire Rack. So I don't know what counts as announced. They may have announced it, or
Well, for SCCA rules, it's not about being announced. It's about being readily available in mass quantity by a certain date.
that's a good point. I think you're right.
Yeah. Because you could say,
I'd
hey,
have
we're
to-
bringing a new
I'd
tire
have
to
to
market.
double
They
check,
can
but I know
take
it's
6 months or a year for it
Right.
to show up. That doesn't,
Well, see, you say that. Well, yeah, see, I wonder how that works, because a lot of the Bridgestones, they're saying they won't be available till the 1st of June.
Mm.
So technically, I don't know if they might not be available, or if it's because they're posted and you can buy them or order them,
Right.
that you could use them. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'd have to.
I
that's
haven't read in depth on the
Yep,
on
the
the
tire
SCCA rules.
But my guess is they've done that for a spec class.
Oh, since they just have one size.
Size, yep,
That
because
makes
Falcon
sense.
did the same kind of thing. They released just a couple sizes,
Yeah.
and I believe that was for the like FRS, whatever spec class SCCA has for autocross.
Sure.
But if you want to compare the 295 18s, which they
is
actually
what
have,
size you have.
they have two different sidewalls. They have 35 and 30.
Sure.
And those are $1,461. And I paid
Not $14.61.
Yes. Yep. That'd be great.
I'd buy like 20 cents.
Right. And I paid $800, I think, for my Federal 595 RSRRs.
Yep.
The real question is, because I think the big thing that everyone's going to be going against, you have the Name Kings, you have the AO52s. They've all been a little bit higher priced. But the one that was kind of a really good performer, and I don't know if there was a definitive top performer, at least from the test that I had seen from like Grassroots Motorsports and everything. I don't know if there was a super definitive. It almost seemed like it really depended on your car setup and even on your driving style, what tire was actually going to work the best.
Which is kind of always how it's been. Over the last 5 to 7 years, it's pretty widely accepted that the RE71R was the top tire.
Unless you couldn't get it in your size.
Unless you couldn't get it in your
Right.
size, or if you had a really heavy car. Heavy cars, like muscle cars and stuff like that, seem to favor the VFGs.
I know that's well, and see, I don't know if that's a weight thing or if it's the size thing. I think it's more the size thing. Because when you're talking about cam cars and stuff, they don't have as much weight limitation, or they don't have as much tire limitations.
Yeah, they have no tire limitations.
Right. So you can run a 315, and those guys were cramming 315s. Well, you can't get a 315. And even if you were only running a 285,
what was the largest size that the RE71R?
285.
Oh, okay.
But the 285 in the BF Goodrich was larger than the
a larger measured width.
Yes, even the Federal 275 was a larger measured width.
All of the
than
Federals.
Well, I know, but it
very
was
wide.
like everything.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Every like 285 was larger than the RE7R 285, from what I can remember.
Sure.
And the fact that Federal's 275 was larger, so it was a fairly small 285.
Right.
But let's see.
Which shouldn't even be a negligible thing. It's supposed to be a number of millimeters wide. That's just
Right.
how wide the tire should be.
Well, everything in tires is kind of subjective, is what it seems like. Everything
Clearly.
from treadwear to width.
Especially treadwear.
Yes, especially treadwear.
You go back, 10 or 15 years ago to a 200 treadwear tire and compare it to today, they're not even slightly close at all.
Yeah, see, so this is the interesting thing, and this is a better comparison, because I was looking at these, and the Falcon RT660, everyone was that was kind of the replacement, I think, for the RE71R. If you weren't quite sure what tire was going to be fast on your car, it was kind of one of those things, go with the Falcon RT660, because all around, it was a very good tire.
Yep.
Across the board. It could work well on a lot of cars, I guess is what I mean by across the board.
Whether it's front-wheel drive, rear drive, all-wheel drive,
Right.
it just worked.
The Falcon RT660 now, the 295, is 1,447. So you're talking about $20 difference between that and the new Bridgestones.
Yep.
And that's about $200 more than it was a year ago
Sure.
when I was looking at the 295s.
Sure.
So pretty interesting. It'll be interesting to see what people end up running this year. If people will splurge for the top tires, I'm sure there'll be plenty of people that do.
There will be tons of people that do. Yeah.
I won't.
No, I won't either.
I've got my still mostly fresh RRs back there, and
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how the Nankangs and the Bridgestones shake out compared to the competition. Just some brief information that I've been able to see online is that the Bridgestone is going to be more of a lapping tire or an endurance tire and not an autocross tire.
so they're going like the Continental
Yes.
route.
So, like they're trying to be the best of a track day tire.
Boo!
So, kind of in the same realm as the RS4. Long tire wear, good grip after it's up to temperature, kind of balance.
I do get it though, because it is one of those things. It's an enthusiast tire,
Mm-hmm.
so people want to buy one set of tires,
Right.
if they can. They
Yep.
don't,
And
even
realistically-
even if they go through more than one set of tires a year, they just want to have. They don't want to have to constantly change out wheels.
Right. Yep. And realistically, for somebody who's not constantly trying to get FTD or top of their class at their autocross or at nationals or anything like that, a longer lasting tire that sacrifices 5 or 10% of the grip level is probably better for most people.
Right.
But then the other thing that I had read briefly about the Nexens is that compared to the Sur 4G, they were almost a full second faster on whatever track it was that they had tested on.
It'd be interesting to know what track that was.
Yeah,
Was it an actual like road course track?
That link that I sent you on the YouTube page, that was the actual test. I didn't watch the whole video,
Okay.
and I didn't catch what track it was on.
Huh.
But
it was an actual
it was like
road course.
0.8, yes. And it
Okay.
was like 0.86 seconds faster.
Okay, so they may be taking into account essentially heating the tire up. Well, I guess we're doing a lot of assumptions, but if the Nexens were falling off after so much heat, they'd probably try and run it at its best temperature. Same with
Well, yeah, I mean, anybody who's doing a proper tire testing needs to, document their cold laps, their
Right.
mid-range laps, and after you've been out there pounding on it for 20 minutes.
They
and
need
see
to,
how it's
but they
still
don't.
going.
Which
Is unfortunate.
I like Tire Rack for looking up some information. I don't like Tire Rack's test.
No.
They don't give enough information.
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel like,
The
and it's
information that
from what
they-
I've seen in person as well as just looking at their test. It seems like they miss a lot.
It's hard to say if they miss a lot or if they just don't give you a lot of information because everything in society is so clickbaity. anymore. They need to keep it brief.
Yeah.
They can't
Yeah.
put so much detailed information into an article. If it takes the average person more than 5 minutes to read it, they check out before they're done.
That's a good point.
So
What's interesting is the Volino, the 295.
the trailer tire.
Yes, the trailer tire. The Volino is almost identical in price. No,
No, it's less.
sorry.
It's
$1,200.
It's less by about $200.
Yep, it's less by about $200. So that might be worth trying out because who
Yeah.
knows?
And depending on what their shipping is, might actually be more than it might be closer to $250.
When I did it- Oh, if they do a
like if
oh,
it's free shipping, it's
well,
closer to $250.
I think when you do this,
Tire Rack
yeah,
is always free
free
shipping.
shipping, yeah, and I think the Volino is free shipping. Pretty much everyone does free shipping at that point.
Sure.
So yeah, that's the breaking news on tires. No idea what is going to come of that. I mean, I know there was some test from Japan, and they were kind of now that you, I don't know, you were talking about the Nexens, but no, you were talking about the Bridgestones being more a track-oriented tire, or not track-oriented, but kind of
a lapping.
Yeah.
Like lapping section.
Yes.
It's not for HP, or it's more an HPDE tire or like an endurance tire
than it is autocross.
than it is autocross. Yeah. If they have similar wear characteristics to like an RS4, they'll even be great for endurance racing, like Lemons or
terrible in
something
the
like
rain
that.
though.
The RS4s.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So hopefully they didn't do that.
So if they can get a leg up in the rain, unfortunately they're a lot more expensive than an RS4, aren't they? Or RS4 is pretty similar in price.
RS4 is pretty similar in price. That was part of the reason I never liked RS4s. I felt like you gave up a lot of grip for a lot of price.
As far as for autocross.
Yeah, even, I don't know. I mean, HPDE, well, the thing is the HPDE is it's not a competition event. So it doesn't make sense to me to build an HPDE tire. Because even
it does.
even you talk about not really.
Yeah, because you want to give somebody. I see what you're saying.
I guess making consistent
You don't
grip.
need to make a tire that the ideal tire for HPDE is not going to be something that has maximum grip level, because HPDE is just a battle against yourself to see how much better you can get.
Yes.
Given people are competitive, so they might start comparing against friends' times and stuff like
Right.
that. But really, what HPDE is for you to go out and use your own lap timer and try and just make yourself better.
Right. And
the ideal tire is something that lasts a really long time and gives you 80 or 90% of the grip.
Right.
So that you get the feel for how your vehicle feels at the limit, but you have a tire that lasts a really long time, so that when you go to do your high-speed autocross or an endurance race or something like that, and you do jump up to your maximum grip level tire, you're already most of the way prepared for that.
Right. And before anyone of our 60 viewers jumps
We're up
on
to
and
60?
says...
That's like doubled since the first episode.
We had 84 this last one.
Whoa!
So still no one. But before any one of those jumps on and crucifies me for hating the RS4, part of the reason I don't see the point of it is when we do our HPD events with local clubs, they also do a high-speed autocross, which is an actually timed event, so you are competing against people. So in that sense, it makes more sense to have that. And there's enough time for your tires to cool down that it would make more sense to have an autocross tire.
Right.
Because you are talking, even in our cars, which are not the fastest things there, you're talking less than a minute and a half.
Right.
Which I guess the fact that our cars are slower is probably equating more to the reason why you don't need a tire that handles heat so much.
Yeah.
I
mean, it all depends on how you look at it, because realistically, if you are just constantly working on being a better driver, think about Top Gear's celebrities in a reasonably priced, or stars in a reasonably priced car.
Okay.
And then they had the one that was specific to F1 drivers.
Yeah.
think about how much faster the F1 drivers go in the same car as just regular people.
Right.
Even though, like, there's regular people and there's a massive range. There's people who are horrible drivers.
Yes.
And there's regular people who are, like, into cars and do lapping days and stuff like that, and they're really good. But then even from those best average people, jumping up to an F1 driver in the exact same car, they just get completely blown away.
Right.
So, especially from our perspective, going to just a regional event or a local event, to say that an RS4 is the reason that you did not win is actually a bunch of hullabaloo. Because if you were an F1 driver, you could win on RS4s, or even less.
But you could argue that you could still argue that an RS4 is the reason you didn't win, because the people you're racing against are probably more in your skill set.
Probably.
Probably.
They might be hidden F1 drivers that just never got their chance.
One of the things you will see at our events, when they do the HPD and the high-speed autocross, is you will see people running in the morning with RS4s, and then they will change to like a CR1 or an AO52 in the afternoon, and specifically for the like time attack style event.
That's really the right call.
Right.
It's two different tires for two different purposes.
Right.
Yep.
Kinda. Or just run Federals. They're cheap. They hold up.
They kind of do both really well, actually.
Or we're just really slow.
Yeah. I mean, but like the Troll Patrol Racing Group has run enough different tires amongst a lot of us that I would say that they're really a good median tire. Yeah. Like, they have the best balance between overall grip and overall wear.
Right. We're not sponsored by Federal, but if you're listening...
Yeah, you want to find out how I run one tire on every car I own for the rest of my life? Yeah. Give me a sponsorship.
Right.
But I mean, seriously, out of any tire any of us have ever run, the Federals absolutely hands down last the longest. Without a doubt.
Yeah, I think the only thing that would have been... not one of the tires that I would probably consider comparable, and we never really got a back-to-back comparison of them, was the Hankook RS3s.
Right.
But I do know from seeing people talk about it, they talk about the Federal RSRR like it's the Hankook RS3. They find them very comparable.
In tire life or grip level?
Both.
Sure.
That was one of the things that they
I
really...
mean, the RS3 is one of those tires that Ryan and Adam had delamination problems with. Pretty sure.
No. RS3 was the very first tire Ryan ran.
Isn't that what they put on the BMW?
No, they put the V720s. They had like, I think they're trying to save money. Budget racing.
Grassroots, we get it.
Yeah, you get it. I think because of Ryan's SRT4 abusing the front tires so much, that they started out with the BMW having Hankook RS3s on one end and the V720s on another end. And then once the Hankooks finally went, they bought another set of V720s. It was the V720s they had the delamination issues on.
Gotcha.
And that was a big problem with the V720s.
I guess that makes sense why I would be confused about which tire it was, because they ran both at the same time.
That's why you didn't. That's why you didn't see them anywhere. Because the interesting thing is in the tire rack test, the V720s were almost as good as the RE7Rs, but you never saw them anywhere. Everyone was running the RE7Rs.
Mostly because of the delamination problems.
I think so. I'm not going to say for sure.
This is a podcast. Everything you say is gospel truth, and there is
gospel truth.
There is nothing else.
No one knows anything more than us.
So yeah, that's tires.
That's tires. Breaking news. Tires. Yep. There's more tires out there. Good luck.
You want to know what actually is?
You're not going to find anything that's even reasonably cheap.
No. No. You want to know what is breaking news though? I sent you a link. There's another racetrack coming to America.
Oh, yes, Tennessee.
Yep, in Tennessee.
Yes. What was that called?
It's called Tennessee Downs.
Yes, the Tennessee Downs racetrack.
Pretty limited information out there.
They literally just announced it.
I know. The only information that there is floating around is the estimated cost to build, which seems like such a useless thing.
It does, because right now it's probably really high, and in like 6 months, everyone's going to be out of work. So
yeah. Jeepers.
Yeah,
but it looks like
optimist.
it's yes, of course you are. But it looks like it's going to be a pretty fluid track. It's going to have a lot of options. There's going to be. It looks like it has the availability to be a full course, and then it looks like it can have a north and south, east, west, whatever, however it's oriented.
Kind of like the Autobahn does.
Yeah, it looks like it can have 2 different courses separated that can run at the same time. So
Could be pretty. That's
cool.
a great way to build a course.
Yeah.
And that one time I was down at Autobahn, we were racing on the south side, I think, and there was another group.
Yeah, I mean, think about
the actual, because it's a country club.
Right.
The actual club members were running on the north side, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because they had way cooler cars than us because
Right.
they were actually members. And if you're a member there,
Yeah, I mean, it is a great concept to have a north and south track, because especially if it's a club style membership where the members are given certain preference over anybody else who wants to rent the track. Like, if you're doing that style of a membership or that style of a facility, you have to have a spot that's just reserved for your members so that they can come out every single weekend, regardless of if anybody else is there or not.
Right.
But then also, even if you're not doing that kind of a facility, it's good to have 2 different venues that people can use. Because think about how many times your club goes to try and reserve a track and make it work with all the other venues that they want to put on their schedule for the year, and they're like, oh, well, we're a little bit late into the season trying to get this all sorted out, and this track's only available for like 2 weekends, and we have events scheduled on both of those weekends. Well, with a north and south track, the place can book twice as many events in a year, so it gives clubs more options to get in.
Gives
From a
the track
business
more
standpoint,
options.
it gives the track the ability to potentially
Which
make
is
twice as much money.
That's probably the more important part, is it gives the track more options.
It's the more important thing
that's what's
for
going
the
to keep
facility,
the tracks
but
open.
it works both ways.
Yep.
It works in favor
Yep.
for both. What's important to keeping the tracks open is for people to not move into the area after the track's already been built and then complain about the noise.
Yes.
And the traffic.
A-holes.
Yeah. Those people. We'll leave it at that. Those people.
It's like, as my dad described it, it's like moving next to a pig farm and then being surprised it smells like pig shit all day.
Yeah. How did this happen? Why does it smell that way here?
Yeah.
I thought pigs just walked in the mud. I didn't know that it was poop mud.
So next, tires is the big thing. The track,
Yeah.
pretty cool to see. Interesting to see that. What is it? It's not St. Louis. Jeez, it's Missouri.
Ozarks.
Ozarks. There
Yeah.
we go. The Ozarks, and then Tennessee.
I don't
now
remember
getting
exactly
track.
what it's
pretty
called,
interesting to
but
see
we're
2
gonna call it
tracks.
Track of the Ozarks, kind of like Lake of the
Right,
Ozarks.
right. There you go.
But I see that place is. I haven't seen a ton of updates
I'm pretty sure it's just
on.
called Ozark International Raceway.
Yeah, I think that might be right.
They got real creative with it.
Yeah, they
Every other race.
If they wanted to capitalize,
not like Road America.
right, Road America, it's the freest place in the country. But if they seriously wanted to capitalize on the already existing,
Old people that go there?
no,
Oh.
the pre-existing marketing schemes of the area, it's Lake of the Ozarks. They literally should have called it Track of the Ozarks.
I don't.
All right, well, is Ozarks International Raceway?
I don't think it's any better or any worse.
But anyways,
The only thing that would make it better is that the International Raceway are they going to try and have F1 races there or something like that?
well, I think that I did read a little blurb when they were starting to build the place that it was intentionally being built as a complex world-class track.
Right.
so that they can have high-level events there.
And that's where it would make more sense to have the International Raceway.
Right. Because then they can do like Pirelli Challenge and
Right.
all that stuff. Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. But I haven't seen a lot of updates, like current pictures and stuff about how the facility's coming along. I've seen some videos of individual cars doing lapping sessions.
I would
and
have
stuff
to
like
imagine
that.
they probably haven't done much. I mean, they are south of us, but they still get snow. Now they should
might
be
need to
cleared
Google
up.
that.
They should be in the Ozarks.
Yeah, that's pretty far south. If they get snow, it doesn't stick around long.
Well,
They can do construction.
it
year-round
snows
there.
in Texas, and everyone loses their fucking mind.
It did that once. No, I know it does it more than once there, but I think you're incorrect on that. I think they can do construction
Okay.
year-round.
Okay.
But anyways, I do know that they've released a short schedule of events there. I didn't pay super close attention to what all it was, but that's good to see that they're getting some events lined up and that things are going to be rolling hot this year, looks like.
Last update, April 14th.
So just
Tickets
2
on
days ago.
sale. Porsche Sprint Club or Porsche Sprint Challenge Caymans.
Yep. And USF Juniors.
So they got quite a lot of stuff coming there. That'll
Yeah.
be pretty cool. But you're right. It's
Got some
been
vintage racing on the schedule. Did it say how much the tickets were for that first event we mentioned?
Get your tickets now for May 20th, 22nd.
Oh, that's super reasonable.
Yeah, the USAC, which is the Porsche Sprint Challenge North America Caymans, is 25 to 40, and then the Fantech GT World Challenge is $20 to $75.
Yeah. Oh, that's on 2 different dates. Oh my gosh. So is that just for a single day?
One was today.
Oh. Well, good. That's good that they're already doing events there.
Yep.
Did they just break ground last year, or was it the year before?
No.
If it was last year, they crushed it. Got that thing up and
have-
running real fast. If it was 2 years ago,
It
that's
might
still
have been.
pretty good.
It might have been the beginning of last year. So
Yeah.
they basically constructed the whole track. I mean, they had people last year. They had people on the track doing like test runs
Right.
and stuff like that.
Yep.
So I wouldn't be surprised if that coming this year
Yeah.
they're ready to.
So, anyways, for some national, at least national, if not international level events, those are really reasonable prices for admission.
Right.
Anywhere from $20 to $75 to get in the gate. I'm sure that comes with, different amenities depending on which tickets you buy.
Yeah, I mean that's.
But then that vintage weekend thing.
Well,
it
that
said
Fantech
it
is
was
a world challenge, so I'd assume that's an international.
Yeah.
I mean, there's Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Mercedes, BMWs.
that vintage race that they mentioned on the Facebook page.
Yep.
It said that admission at the gate was $10. That's so cheap.
Right. Yeah, that's a great way to spend a weekend. Huh. Look at that. So anyways, new racetrack coming.
Yeah.
To 2 new racetracks. Well, new racetrack coming, but 2 new racetracks in a year, 2 years, or whatever. That's it's nothing to complain about.
Yeah, no, it's really good. Hopefully they just build the racetracks far enough outside of town that the town doesn't grow around the track. Otherwise, it's a short-lived life.
Right. Well, these are. I do think road course tracks stand a lot better chance.
They do.
Just because they are so massive. It's one of those things
Yeah.
like, well, what do you want us to do with it? Because if it's shut down,
And
talking about a circle track, it's kind of.
Well, I don't
Imagine
think that it has
well-
really that much to do with the amount of space that it takes up, and what else you want to do with the space? I think it has everything to do with if you have a 3/8 or a half-mile oval, and the town grows around it, and it brings in $100,000 or $200,000 worth of revenue to the community annually.
It's gonna do more than that, though.
Okay, let's say $1
If
million.
what-
Like over the course of a
Right.
season, if it
Right.
brings $1 million into the community annually,
Yeah, you'd be stupid to
people are
shut it
kind of
down.
just, you would be,
Yeah.
but people are just kind of like, yeah, whatever. But an international level course
Right.
will bring in millions of dollars
Right.
every time it's open.
Right.
You know, it'd be tens of millions of dollars easily that it brings into a community.
Or you could be smart, build the town around the racetrack like they did in Darlington, and they just enjoy it. And
That's
every
the town's
Friday
not
night
even
you just
around
hear
it.
it.
The town's not even around it. It's on the edge of town.
It's what? It's barely on the edge of town.
Well, it is.
No, it's,
The houses end up spaced out after you pass the track, and there's only like 4 of them on that road after you leave town.
Okay,
It's literally on the edge of town.
I guess, but or you be like Road America and you build a track and then go, why don't we call this a state park? And the state goes, yeah, okay.
Good enough. Now nobody can build a house anywhere near
right.
here. Yeah, I mean, you know, if you've got pockets deep enough to build a $30 to $40 million racetrack facility, you should probably also just buy the hundreds of acres that are near
Near
the
it,
track,
right.
so that no one can encroach on it. And especially if you're doing something like a club membership style. Whoa,
Where's your cider?
right here. If you're doing a club membership style track, if you buy all that extra land around the track, then you can just build like condos basically and lease the
Right.
condos to your members.
Right. Oh God, it tastes as terrible as it looks.
No, it doesn't. I think it's
All
pretty
right.
good. It's pretty
What is-
similar to your white wine. It's dry. It's got a lot of fruity aromatics going on.
Maybe it's just the fizz.
It might be.
It could be. I'm not a big fizz for. We're getting way off topic here.
There, we hit
About
the,
to start
we
talking about how I like drinking flat soda.
We hit the hammered part.
No, we haven't. Trust me, we haven't.
So motorcycles.
No.
I see you got Kyle that's Honda up there.
No. You know what?
I took my bike out for a ride for the first time yesterday.
That's good for you.
Yeah, I can
Yep.
do some jetting.
God, hit a deer.
That's all right. Best case scenario, I've got dinner for the night.
Oh. What's going on with the S10?
You know, it's still around.
As you guys know, the engine's been pulled. You guys have seen all that.
Yeah.
And
You know, sometimes life happens and you have to adult against your will. So our kitchen remodel escapade seems to be never ending, and it's very financially and time consuming.
okay, these people don't care about your personal life.
So maybe someday they will.
Maybe someday they will.
So needless to say, the Sonoma it's just been kind of on the back burner. I've kind of very briefly tootled with it a little bit, but not a lot happening there.
So
The C4, on the other hand,
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what everyone really cares about
Or-
because it's got the 80s styling. It looks
Yep.
good. It's actually red. It doesn't have some shitty foreign V8 in it.
the C4's time is upon us. So since the truck's nowhere near done, the goal is to have the C4 ready for autocross
Next
next
Sunday.
Sunday. 9 days from now.
Which maybe when this episode is released, we'll see.
Yeah. So, I just briefly went through all of my transmission bits and made sure that I had everything that I think I need for it. I had to order a clutch fork and pivot ball assembly for it. So, it turns out there's almost, I think there is, zero aftermarket options available. Parts stores don't have them. Rock Auto doesn't have them. Nobody's got them. And you call the Chevy dealership and ask, and they're like, "Oh, I can give you a part number, but they're discontinued." So it's getting to be a hard part to
For
find.
the clutch fork.
Yeah, and the pivot ball. The pivot ball is a wear item.
Right.
And they
Interesting.
don't. Yeah. So luckily, there's
Good to know before I buy
there's
this.
like 3 of them on eBay. So I bought one.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if it's a new old stock or if somebody's making repops or what it is.
Right.
But I've got one coming. It's supposed to get here like on Tuesday. And then it'll be crunch time.
Mad dash.
Yeah.
Because you got to do the clutch pedal and everything.
No.
Oh, you don't have to.
It's
I
already
thought,
a manual.
well, I know it's already in manual, but I didn't
I
know
wouldn't
if
have
it
to change
was
the pedal. Worst case scenario, I just have to change the master cylinder.
okay.
Yeah.
I thought you got a pedal and everything when you got the transmission.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Nope.
My bad.
So hopefully my hydraulics work. I'm pretty sure.
What do you mean?
Like if they're compatible with the transmission. Because
As
if
in
the
the
fluid
master
flow,
cylinder?
if the master cylinder is not the correct fluid flow volume for the
Okay.
correct slave cylinder,
Yes.
that could get wonky.
But could you not
I'm-
reuse your slave cylinder that you have?
Well, that's what I'm going to try to do. I think it should work. We'll see. If it
Oh,
doesn't
boy.
work, the parts stores do offer those parts, and they're super cheap and readily available, like next day.
Okay, which
Yeah.
is nice because you can
Yeah.
go to O'Reilly's or AutoZone and just be like, hey,
Yep.
and they're like, yeah, we'll
Hook
have
me
it
up.
tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. or
Or I'll have it today at 2 p.m.
yeah.
Yep. So,
Well, that's good.
yeah.
But
I'm not going to have time to get the suspension bushings and new shocks and stuff like that done, but I just want to get the transmission done and make sure it's going to work properly
Right.
first. And,
Probably a good idea
Take it
before
out
you
and hammer
spend a bunch of other
Right.
money on it.
yeah. Yep, got to make sure that I've got one part of it squared away before I dump more money into other parts. So,
Do I need to be looking for 4 speeds while I'm at the swap meet? Okay.
no, I'm not. I'm already that close that I have hopefully 100% of the parts. Guaranteed I have at least 90% of the parts.
right?
So, the only part that's really still up in the air is the hydraulics and the torque arm mount that goes between the transmission and the differential. There's some conflicting information out there, and I couldn't really find a straight answer on which one I need. And I also don't know if mine's already been swapped or not, because it does not have the original transmission in it. It had
Right.
that Doug Nash
4
plus 3,
which
and
is
now
just
it just has
4-speed overdrive. Yeah.
It's not that simple.
I know it's not that simple, but that's basically
It's a hydraulic overdrive that
Yeah.
works on 3 gears.
I know.
It's wonky.
It's
And there's a reason it's not in there anymore, because
Yeah.
they break all the time.
Yes.
But it has just a standard Muncie 4-speed from a 70s something Chevy
Yeah.
in it now.
Take it out, rebuild it, sell it.
Yeah, because that casting number on eBay is like a $1,500 transmission.
There you go.
And that's basically what I paid for my 6-speed swap kit.
Right. It's more than you paid for the car.
Yeah, which is wild. Yeah. But the torque arm mount. Don't know if mine's ever been changed. It may not have been, or it may have been modified to fit the Muncie 4-speed. The only guaranteed information that I could find is that the torque arm is different depending on whether or not you have a Dana 36 or Dana 44 rear end.
Okay.
So they're different between those two, but I'm not sure if they're different between transmissions. I know that if you are
Well,
switching from an
I would
automatic
assume
to a
they're-
manual, you'll for sure have to have a different one.
Right.
But since my car was already a manual, it might be the same.
Well, it'd be worth looking because maybe that's
Well, like
the
I
difference
said,
is
I
the
already-
automatics had the 36 and the manuals had the 40. 44? 40?
I don't think so. I think that
Or is
all
it
of
year-based?
I think the early C4s had 36s, and then the late automatics had 36s, and the late manuals had 44s. I think.
So you probably have a 36 then?
Yes.
Okay.
Which is fine for what I'm doing.
Yeah.
The only time I would get concerned about having a 44 is if I started running way more horsepower.
You
and
mean
was
a
doing-
36?
Huh? No,
Only
the
time
only
you'd-
time I would get concerned about needing or wanting or having
Yes,
a
okay.
44 is if I was making way more horsepower and wanted to do drag racing.
Yeah, and that thing doesn't make shit for power, so.
No, it makes good torque though.
Yeah, but it's still slower than my car.
Yeah.
before
It
what I've
is.
done.
Yeah. Not by a lot, by some.
Enough.
Enough.
That's all it needs to be.
Does
Doesn't
that
matter
make
if
you-
you win by an inch
Does that-
or a mile. Winning is winning.
Does that
but-
make you feel good that your car is probably faster than a 2010 Boxster?
Yes.
Yeah, it should.
Yes.
Because it's not a fast car, but it's solid.
I gotta say, one of the peak points of my car driving it, and it was by no means in a great condition, but I was driving to college one day and to a tunnel into Milwaukee, and behind me was a GT350 Mustang, one of the new ones. And,
They were out when you were still in college?
Yes.
Must have been first year.
Yeah, like it was right towards the end. And I did a nice long pull in the tunnel that we were in. He was behind me, so he just heard the turbo spool up, and then it and it was a 2-lane thing, and he pulled up next to me, and gave me a thumbs up, and it was like, you have no idea how shitty this car is. But it sounds good.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, hopefully have the Corvette done by next weekend.
We will see.
Yep. Did you find a ride yet? Co-drive, or are you not coming to this event?
Not
For the
this
first
event. Not this first event. Nope, can't make it, unfortunately. Second event I am going to, which,
I am
awesome
not.
news. Yes, if anyone has following autocross in Wisconsin, or really in the Midwest, one of the best places to autocross at was the Miller Park in Milwaukee.
Which we lost when it became a American Family Insurance
Yes.
Stadium.
Yep. No surprise, an insurance company becomes a sponsor, and racing is not allowed in their parking lot. And so we've lost that. But this year, and actually they did do it last year for a Corvette club,
Mm-hmm.
but this is the first year ever since we've been racing.
Used to be a venue a long time
Yeah,
ago.
we've been allowed back at the Alliant Energy Center in Madison, which is probably the most comparable thing you have to Miller Park.
Big, flat, blacktop lot.
Yep.
A well-weathered one, so it should be super grippy.
Hopefully. Yep. And so we're going there 3 times this year, with the first one being in May, and then we have a double header
Saturday, Sunday event.
in September.
Yep.
So it'll be very interesting to see what that track is like. Hoping to have the 300 tuned and ready. The Mega Squirt is in the 300. It is running and idling.
In the 300, like just sitting in the passenger seat?
Yes.
Or?
Yes. No, everything is wired up, plugged in, I guess. I didn't actually wire up much. But
Yeah, tell the story of the plug-and-play harness. We won't tarnish any names, but there was a couple.
no. I'm not even tarnishing
of,
names because it's not even the fault of the person that
Well,
I
some
got
of
it.
it is.
Not really.
You said that the
yes. So the
coil plugs were
yep,
wired
the sub
incorrectly.
harness. So there's the sub harness where which you have on a regular LS harness too for the LS coils, and it's something you can buy online for. You can buy like whatever the whole set, for 8 coils for like $10. So the guy doesn't make them himself. He just buys them, modifies them, takes out essentially 2 of the not 2 of the wires, but 2 of the coil plugs. So it is set up for just a 6-cylinder and looks clean and everything like that. And sends them out to you. They had actually wired it up wrong, and when they had wired it up wrong, they had also just wired up the connectors bad because I had coils not firing when it was just sitting there. Now I could push the coil wire, like I could sit there and hold it on the coil and just keep pushing,
Oh, so
and it would actually make contact.
so the person you got them from, it's a part that they purchase, modify, and send to you. Do they repin the connectors?
No, they do not.
Okay,
They're not.
so
they're not.
whoever the original manufacturer was
because
didn't pin the connectors.
because
right?
what I literally did
Gotcha.
is and actually I'm glad you reminded me of this because he actually needs to reimburse me for, which he said he would reimburse me for the coil or the sub harness that I bought. But I bought a new sub harness, plugged it in, it was wired correctly, and it works fine.
Sure.
And the car, so by no means was it his fault at all. I don't blame him at all. I understand why he buys it, and the fact that he's going to reimburse me shows
Right.
he's doing what he needs to
Yeah.
do.
And I know you had a little bit of troubles with base mapping and getting it to idle properly and stuff like that, but
I wouldn't even call that troubles. That's just
it's just part
talking
of the
about
thing. Because
yeah.
even though it
Yeah.
has a base tune, every car is different.
Well-
Slight modifications might be different.
the only thing I can say is all you should expect from a base map if someone is selling you a base map along with something is your car starts. And mine did.
Which, for what it's worth,
It's just
the
when
way
it got
Megastore
warm
works,
that's when the things started to change, and that's where you have to start getting involved in the process of it.
Right.
And thankfully, Megasport is there's a lot of good videos out there to understand it, and it's a very easy ECU to understand. I
Right.
mean, so much easier. Frankie and I were talking because he just ended up calling me the one night,
Oh, sure.
and just how much easier it was compared to the ECU system that I used that turned the stock ECU into a standalone, or tried to turn.
With your NIS tune.
Yep, I was going to say the name.
Why?
I
You already
don't
said Megasquirt. What is it with you and branding?
I just-
Anyways,
If you talk bad
So-
about someone,
it's not talking bad. It's just stating facts.
stating my experience.
Yeah, it's just facts and personal experience.
Well, I'm just
We're not saying that either system is a piece of garbage or that the product's not good.
no, Nistun
It's
is
just-
a piece of garbage.
Well, it's better than just letting your factory ECU just fly by the seat of its pants with no help.
I don't know if that's true.
Well, that's true because that's what
our
Kyle's
buddy,
doing.
yes, our buddy Kyle, which you guys saw in the last
He's just
video.
like, here, have
he
more
just-
boost. You figure it
Yeah,
out.
you throw more boost, and I'm gonna throw some cams in it, and the math and it all just figured itself out.
Yeah, tuning in the 80s,
The
like
problem I had
mass
with-
airflow systems were pretty loose and
Problem,
fast.
the problem I had with Nistun is I would load the stock tune and it wouldn't run the car.
Oh,
And then I would unplug the ECU, plug my stock ECU in, and it would run the car just fine. That was the main problem I had with it, is that you didn't even have a good baseline of where you should have been.
right.
So you had nothing to build off of.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, what I was going to say is if your base tune, all it does is makes the car start, and that's about it. Just for your own simple knowledge and understanding of the way the software works, it's almost just worth it to start with a blank one that doesn't already have a base tune on it, because then you can enter in all of your own data for your engine setup, and just the basic setup for Megasquirt should do the same thing. It should give it just a super basic map that will make the car start and idle. And it just helps you get more involved with the software and have a better
Right.
understanding, so that
Which
if
is
you
a
want
good
to try
point.
and adjust,
Then maybe don't buy a base tune, because I didn't buy a base tune. I bought the harness and it just came with it,
right?
basically.
Yeah. Which, for what it's worth, if that's what you want
Which
to
I
do,
don't know.
is
It may
make
end
your
up
own base
working out.
tune.
It may end up working out well. I don't know yet. That's what we're gonna take care of on Sunday. We'll be going out with or I will.
You're
You
gonna-
won't be here.
You're
I'll be
gonna
going out
take
with
it
our.
and do a
our
wide
buddy-
open throttle pull right away.
Yep, right away. Nope, it's given. And then I'll do an LS swap after I go out, because now I've got an ECU.
I was gonna
do
say
it.
you've got an ECU.
I know.
to
I've
run.
got half the cost in the bag.
Yeah.
But no. So May 15th is that event. Hopefully have some footage in that from that event in our next video. We'll have some footage. Hopefully we'll have some footage of the Z racing. And yeah, I'm getting pretty excited about that. It's idling great right now, and that's the starting point.
Yeah, I
And
was gonna say that's
hopefully
the
this
first step.
Sunday we can get to the next point where, at least if nothing else, I can start driving it around and let it run the auto tune.
Yep. What do we got left here? We either need to take a pee break or we gotta wrap this up.
Oh my gosh.
Go.
And we're back.
We survived.
Hey, amazing. We survived a bathroom break. Jesus. All right. So the next thing we have is
Interesting finds on Facebook Marketplace.
that what we're calling the segment?
That's pretty long and monotonous.
Yes. Marketplace. We'll just call it Marketplace. Interesting finds. So obviously the first one I found was that Tacoma
Yep.
with a 2JZ swap.
Naturally aspirated.
Yes, naturally aspirated.
10 minutes away from being turbocharged.
10 minutes?
Okay, maybe.
But in just 90s, Tacoma.
Classic mini truck style.
Lowered, yeah,
Yep.
lowered. I'm pretty sure it's on Starion wheels.
Yep.
And, it's already got Fulkins on it. Just a great 10 grand, But if
The price seems a little steep, but
if the
to
swap
find
is clean,
if the swap is pretty clean and
Right.
it runs and drives as well as the owner says it does,
right,
it's a solid buy.
right,
I mean, to purchase that truck in that condition, you'd be hard pressed to find one for 5,000-6,000 in that kind of condition.
right, exactly.
Especially up here in the Northwoods and the Rust Belt.
Yep.
That's a tough one to find. But then you got the fanboy tax on that engine. You can't buy them super inexpensively.
No, you're right. You can't.
So-
I don't. Well, let's.
When it comes down to all of the parts that went into making that vehicle what it is, I don't know if you could even buy the parts to build that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is a twin turbo engine. Okay.
That one
Here's
right there.
here. That's 2,399.
Yep.
That's not even in the car running.
Right.
Being able to
So if it
hear
costs,
it run
costs
is-
you $5,000 for the truck, $2,400 for an engine, you're already up to $7,400. Any sort of fuel management,
Yep.
all of the just little nuts and bolts stuff that it's going to take to have the thing running. Any sort of
Fabrication,
adapter,
drive shaft.
Yeah, all that stuff.
And it was lowered and
Easily
everything like that.
$10,000.
Yep. No. So that one was definitely one of my top finds. That was one I really, really, really liked.
Yeah. And then the next one, I lost it here, was that,
Is this the one you just sent me?
no, is the one before, a 79 Mercury Capri RS. So that's
Oh,
like a
yeah.
Fox body Mustang.
The one that I was offended by.
Yes, it does have a relatively offensive blower hat look-alike on
Hood
it. That's just
ornament.
on top of it. Well, it's not a hood ornament.
I know, it's not
actually
a-
attached to the car, but it's meant to look like a blower hood. But it's just a carb hood.
Oh, okay. Yep. There it is. Let's see.
But
Yep.
you
No,
know,
I mean,
there again, right at that $10,000 mark. Fox bodies have been going up in price. I don't know that the Capris necessarily command a higher price than a Mustang, but
no, I don't think there's as much of a following.
they
for
should
them.
because
They're a lot rarer.
They are rarer. They're more rare, I think is probably grammatically correct. But they just have some like aesthetic styling that I like. The
Yeah.
rounder, like the round kind of flares on the fenders.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I like that stuff.
It kind of looks like a Starion
Oh,
with the wide body Starions, but
everything kind of looks like a Starion from the 80s. It just has that classic 80s
Yep.
styling. You
No.
know, the notch back, the 3/4 windows,
Yep.
the more squared off shape, the body lines that run from one end of the car to the other, just all that stuff. It's nice. It
Yep.
makes my heart fuzzy.
no. And I know when you sent it to me and I saw that and I thought, man, it's got that gaudy thing sticking out of the hood.
Which, other than the hole in the hood, it's easily fixable.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, you could.
But even looking, I did come across other Capris today, and I found other ones that were rougher shape, at that 10 grand price.
Right.
And it was one of those things like, okay, I would buy this one over those.
Right.
So it was definitely not
Yep.
a bad buy,
Yep.
but I'd probably buy a Fox body over that at 10 grand.
I mean, it is a Fox body, but you're saying a Mustang. You would buy a
Yes,
Mustang over
yes.
the Capri.
Yep. Largely because there was a Mustang convertible for 10 grand. That was
A Fox body convertible is right up there in my book of like top 10 most offensive convertibles.
Really?
I don't like them at all.
I agree.
It just looks like a 2x4 with a windshield.
You have to have the what's the like center loop.
Oh yeah,
You
like
have
the
to.
roll bar
You do,
thing. Yeah,
and I feel like
that makes a big difference.
I-
That makes a
even
huge
with
difference for the
new Edge Mustangs too.
new Edge and the one that's in between the two as well.
Yes, you have to
Yeah.
have that. Like, I don't know why, but it
makes
makes
a
it look
huge
so
difference.
much better.
Yeah.
It's stupid that just that one loop.
Because it removes the problem that I just stated.
Too much space.
No, it just looks like a 2x4 with a windshield. It just looks like a block because the line from the hood straight down the whole back of the car, it just looks like a brick with a windshield.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
There's not a lot of convertibles out there that I get real excited about, but it's got to be something that just the rest of the body just has a lot of really good shape to make it look good.
Yep. And then the other one.
The other one.
Yes, was a 1975 Bricklin SV1.
Yeah, when I first seen the picture, I was like, "Oh, is that a Pantera?" Nope.
Nope.
But it's the competition, and it is Ford powered as well. The only difference is that it's front engine, rear drive instead of a mid engine or a rear engine.
And it doesn't look as good. It just
not quite.
It doesn't look as good as a Pantera.
No, but the Pantera is more of a supercar. This is like a Corvette or a 300ZX on steroids is kind of what this is. It still has all that same classics 80s vibes.
Gull wing doors.
Yeah. It does have some supercar, 80s supercar aspects to it. But it's like a aggressive mesh of classic muscle and classic supercar. So...
That's what we've got for Marketplace.
Yeah.
Those were our top finds.
Everything else on Marketplace right now is basically massively overpriced average cars or
and
absolute pile of garbage.
I was looking for, Datsuns and stuff, and man, everything's really expensive.
Yeah, everything is really expensive right now.
Triumph TR6s. I always love looking at those, but they're like 15
there you
grand
go. If you
for
want
a clean one.
If you want a convertible that excites me a little bit, you gotta go classic British convertibles.
Right.
Triumphs and MGs and stuff
Spitfires.
like
Yep.
that. S2Ks and Miatas are kind of like a halfway.
I think
they
would excite me, other than we see them all the time.
And to be completely honest, if I was going to buy either one of those two cars, and I had the option to put a hardtop on it, I would put a hardtop on either one of those before I drove them in the convertible form.
I would agree with that in the Miata. S2000, no. I think the S2000 looks pretty good in its convertible form.
They do. I mean, like I said, they're one of the few convertibles I could get behind. And not just from a performance aspect, but from like a styling aspect. I'm okay with one of those.
I mean, convertibles all around. Except, I do really like the 2005-ish to 2011-ish. Don't know the years exactly. I do like the 6 Series convertibles from BMW.
Sure.
I do.
Yeah.
I do like those a lot. They're just big honking cars and but I think part of the reason is that even though it's a 4-seater like style convertible, just like a Mustang is, it's so much bigger that you don't realize that space is there.
Right.
It isn't like so much like a 2x4, I guess.
Right.
With a windshield.
Right. Yeah. Hardtop on Miata. You remember that white one from up in the Fox Valley area? That the hardtop conversion on that was permanent and it looked like a fastback.
Yes. So that is an option that you can do on the Miatas and S2000s, and I agree. That is probably the best looking version of both of those cars. Is that fastback style?
Yeah. That's good stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know why they didn't make.
They should have made them from the factory that way.
That's what Miata did with the newest, the
newest
NDs.
Miata.
They basically did that. They did the Corvette thing where
but they're like a target top.
Yeah, which is what you should do.
Yep.
In my opinion. I'm sure there's plenty of people I will disagree with that, but
another convertible that works good for me is if you go back to like 50s and 60s, like Cadillacs and Lincolns that got the great big huge fins on the back.
Yeah, yeah.
I can get behind that.
Everyone can. If you can't get behind that, then
and those are
there's
one of the
something
few
wrong with
cars
it.
that I would put on bags, and I would
Yeah.
drive it slowly up
Right.
and down Main Street this high off the ground.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Solid. What else, man? Anything?
that's all I can really think of until next time when we have some real updates on the C4 and the Z31 and anything else that's going on in the.
Hopefully within 1 month's time from now, they'll both be up, running, and healthy, and not...
Technically, mine's running.
The Corvette runs too.
Oh, I know.
Neither one of them
Driving
drives.
around part.
But that's why I say, hopefully happy, healthy, and working well.
Yep.
Hopefully neither one of us suffers a catastrophic loss between now and then.
Yeah. Hopefully not. I'm a little worried. Hopefully not.
Nah, you should be fine. Like
to be honest, I'm more worried about the transmission.
For what?
Um,
You think you're just gonna make that much more horsepower? That's gonna explode it?
Not explode it, but rip a gear, maybe.
No.
With the T5s, I don't know.
I don't
mean,
think so.
Right now it won't, because right now I'm not running any more boost. I haven't changed anything on
Yeah.
the boost controller.
Yeah.
I
The
still
shortcoming
need-
on T5s is
From what I understand,
bending shift forks,
yes.
which you already have solved by
Yeah.
having your
Yeah.
short throw with
Yeah.
stops, and shock loading. They don't take shock loading that well. But as far as like holding rolling power, I don't think you ever have to worry about.
Okay, it's the
breaking
shock
it.
loading part I'm worried about, because that's what I do
Yeah.
when you launch.
When you launch, but I think you should be more concerned about your massive excitement for flat foot shifting than you should be about launching, because your tires will only hold so much torque, and you're already capable of exceeding that limit. So unless you just start driving it dumber,
Right.
you're not going to have any more shock loading on a launch than you already have.
That's a good point.
So I would be concerned about your flat foot shifting, though. Every transmission I've ever seen ruined was from trying to do flat foot shifting.
But it's set up for it. Or supposedly, we'll see how that goes. In the case that it does ruin the transmission, I have an extra transmission.
Yeah.
So it's not the end of the world.
And you have good options. Being a T5, you can call up G-Force and say, yo, I need a face-plated sequential shift
Right.
T5
You're right.
that's capable of 650 pound-feet of torque.
Or just 400. You know, like I'm not
Yeah.
at that. But
mean-
you're right. If I was going to buy one, it would be something like that, so I'd never have to worry about it again.
Yep. I mean, that's going to be my option for the Sonoma. If I ever break a transmission, I'm going to... For sure, I'm going to get a built one. I don't know if I'll go face-plated sequential shift or not.
I probably wouldn't do that.
I might,
I wouldn't.
just because funsies.
Yeah, but not in this car. I don't know. Not in this car.
I also think if I ever have to replace the transmission when it comes out, I'm going to go to one of those skeletonized aluminum flywheels that's set up for a quartermaster 7 1/4 inch clutch.
Oh,
Because then the whole entire flywheel and clutch assembly weighs like 11 pounds.
okay. That'd be nice.
Might not be good for street driving.
Yeah.
Be great for track days,
Right.
all the rest.
I guess that's probably what I'm more worried about is the clutch.
Yeah.
But I'm not.
That's a simple solution.
It is a simple solution.
You bring it down to the
And
shop and we throw it on the lift, and it's a 3-hour experience to
Right.
replace
I'm
the
not
clutch.
overly worried about it. It is the clutch I'm running is an OEM Exetti replacement, but it's been able to hold up to the 300 foot-pounds of torque on
For how
an
many
engine that
seasons?
only makes 220 foot-pounds of torque from the factory. It's been able to hold up to 300 foot-pounds of torque launches, and I mean launches where it's getting the full torque because it's on A7s and just gripping and going.
Right. And you actually launch properly. You don't just rev it up to a certain point and dump the clutch. You actually slip your clutch
Yes,
so
I
that you
do.
can get off the line.
I do.
So, which you have to do with turbo cars.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, that clutch really has done well. How many years have you had it in there?
So the clutch I have now, I've only had in there 2 seasons. So I did it in.
And the other one before that, you didn't replace it because it was slipping.
No, I didn't.
You just replaced
Yeah,
it
the
because
one
you
that
had a better
that
one.
was the original manual transmission clutch I had back when I bought my first
Your black
300. Yes, my black one. So that was from 2013 all the way up to like, is it 2019? I guess it'd be 2020 at this point.
Yeah.
That I replaced it. Which I did. I went over to a performance clutch. It was a used performance clutch from like 2018 to 2019, and then that actually had a rivet come loose, so one of the pucks was chattering, and there was noise in my transmission. I didn't know what it was in between gears and stuff. It ended up being that.
Oh, gotcha.
And then I went back to a stock OEM Excetti because that happened, and I was like, well, I'm not going to pay $600 or whatever,
Right.
$500 for. I mean, honestly, one of the things I might be able to do is just throw the more aggressive pressure plate
Oh, yeah.
onto my transmission
Absolutely.
with the same clutch disc, and yeah, it might not
Which-
last.
Without resurfacing it, that might be questionable, and it's rare to find a place that'll resurface a pressure plate.
Right.
But it could be done.
It could be done,
Worst
but I'm
case
not even
scenario,
worried about
you
that
just
because
bust out your palm sander with an 800 grit plate on it. You just
yeah, exactly. Resurfaced. But I'm not even worried about that. I mean, the Excetti's, it's held up for now, and we'll see how it holds up. I mean, I've got confidence in
I
it.
have high hopes for it. I don't think it's gonna be a problem.
I think if it was going to slip, it would
I don't
start
think
slipping,
that.
but
I think you might get a little bit more peak torque or peak power without raising the boost, just because of better fuel and timing management.
yeah,
But I don't think that
no. What I'm more
you're just going to make more power under the curve.
what I'm more concerned about is when I try to go for more boost.
Yeah,
That's what I'm more concerned about, because eventually
Which-
I will.
we all know how that's worked out in
But-
the past.
I know.
But if you
But I'm
actually
not
have a
even-
proper
I'm not
electronic
even-
boost controller that's run through Mega Squirt, and you
Yes.
have a proper fuel and ignition management system, I don't think you'll have any problems. As long as
Right.
you're just smart and
And I'm not
conservative
even.
about your tuning.
I'm not like I'm running 11ish psi now, and I'm talking like going to 15.
100?
So, no, 15 pounds.
1500.
Yes, 1500 psi. That's what we're aiming for on stock bottom end.
He'll take it for a little bit.
Till it shoots one out the head.
It's just like when I was down at UTI in the hot rod course. I was not in the class for this experience, but I was in the building. And I had hot rod in the afternoon, so I missed it on the morning class. We did, so like the hot rod course is, you have a T-bucket, a Ford T-bucket hot
Oh, okay.
rod.
Yep.
And you get to build a 350 Chevy to put in it. And the first
Why
iteration
wouldn't you
is
build a 302 for it?
because it's a hot rod.
Okay.
Like think about it. When hot rodding
Took
was
off.
the
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
the
The
350
302
small
wasn't
block,
really.
the 302 wasn't. It may have been.
Yeah, it was.
It came after the 350.
Yes, it did.
But the 350 was like the cheap hot rod engine.
Yep,
That's
yep.
what everybody used, just
It's-
like everybody
it's-
uses LSs now.
Yes.
So Vortex.
Ooh, good job, Chevy. Everyone's cramming van engines into stuff.
But anyways, so the first iteration is just like a.
No matter
stock
what you do to
spec.
the Corvette, everyone will know you for your cheap ass van engines.
So it starts out as just a stock spec 350, and then you get to add modifications like heads, cams,
Right.
different intake manifolds, exhaust headers, and all that good stuff. Well, anyways, at the end, the last thing you get to do is either a supercharger or a nitrous kit. And in the morning class that I missed out on,
They went for nitrous.
the teacher went for nitrous. That already had a nitrous plate and had properly jetted carb on it. He went for more nitrous. And he just opened the bottle above the carb on the dyno, and it smoked the tires on a stock low end 350, and it made 800 and something horsepower with the wheels smoking on the dyno. So a stock low end can take it for a minute.
Yeah, for a minute.
At
The
least for a
pistons
dyno
were fried
flow.
afterwards, but
Maybe, probably, it couldn't have gone well, but never underestimate the power of a stock low end.
well,
Yeah. Probably
I guess,
about it. I
yeah.
don't think I got anything else.
well, we'll keep you guys updated. Hoping to have another guest on for the next event, talking about building his Nova. That is still in progress.
Yep.
But until next time.
Keep the shiny side up.